All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're exploring the really fascinating science of strength, and we're going to trace the ultimate journey of a lifter. If you spent any time at all under a barbell, you know for a fact that the path to getting stronger is rarely just a straight line.
It's literally a universal frustration, right? We put in the sweat, we track our macros, we show up day after day, but suddenly, the weights just won't budge. You feel like you've hit a brick wall, and it is maddening.
The reality is that unbridled intensity can actually lead to stalled progress. See, linear progression, which is just adding a little bit of weight every single session, works wonderfully for a time, but it eventually hits a dead end. Just pushing harder and endlessly grinding away, it's simply not the solution.
So today, we're going to trace the exact path to fixing those frustrating training plateaus. We'll quickly cover the basics of building strength, hitting the wall, breaking through with variation, listening to your body, and finally, the power of stepping back.
Okay, Section 1, the basics of building strength and the era of beginner gains.
That rapid progress you see early on, it's all driven by a fundamental physiological adaptation called progressive overload. Simply put, by gradually increasing the stress placed upon your musculoskeletal and nervous systems, you literally force your body to adapt by growing larger, stronger muscle fibers.
And it's actually an ancient concept. Legend has it that way back in the 6th century BC, Milo of Croton built his legendary strength by lifting a growing calf every single day. Fast forward to 1944, and Dr. Thomas DeLorme formalized this exact method for wounded WWI soldiers. Today, it remains the absolute bedrock of strength programming.
Which brings us to Section 2, hitting the wall and surviving the dead zone.
Now, here's the massive twist. Your plateau isn't just about having weak muscles. Often your nervous system is actually totally exhausted. When you repeat the exact same high-intensity movements every single session, you overwhelm your central nervous system's ability to adapt, leading to CNS fatigue. It's basically neural overtraining.
But real quick, before we address the biology, we got to address the mechanics. Sometimes, hitting the wall is simply a technical issue. You need absolute full-body tightness. First, establish upper back tension, kind of like a wrestler's bridge. Next, ensure the bar aligns perfectly with your wrists and elbows. Finally, aggressively utilize your leg drive by trying to push the floor away from the bench. If you aren't doing this, you are literally leaking force.
All right, Section 3, breaking through with variation, utilizing the conjugate method.
So we've got to shift our mindset here. We need to move away from linear progression, which endlessly grinds the exact same lift, and embrace conjugate variation. This just means constantly rotating similar but slightly different exercises. For example, think about simply swapping out a traditional straight barbell for a cambered or buffalo bar. Motor learning science actually tells us that even these seemingly minor changes in the barbell setup drastically alter the neural demands of the lift. It completely refreshes the stimulus for your nervous system and prevents burnout.
By shifting your exercises slightly every few weeks, say switching from a conventional deadlift to a deficit deadlift or using a different bar, you're utilizing strategic variation. This intelligent programming is exactly what allows elite lifters to train with maximum intensity, max effort, week after week, without hitting that dreaded wall of neural overtraining.
Moving right along to Section 4, listening to your body, or as I like to call it, monitoring the engine's RPMs. You really need to think of your body like a high-performance engine. Autoregulation is a systematic approach to individualizing your program based on your daily readiness. Look, you aren't a robot. Your strength fluctuates based on your sleep, your stress, and your nutrition. This is how you ensure you aren't revving your engine into the red line every single day. We measured that readiness using what's called the RPE scale, or rating of perceived exertion. It's based entirely on reps in reserve. An RPE 10 means 0 reps left in the tank, absolute failure. An RPE 8 means you could have squeezed out exactly 2 more reps. It perfectly gauges how much fuel you actually have left during any given set.
So why does this matter? Well, it comes down to one crucial time frame, 48 hours. Research shows that if you push every single set to a true RPE 10, absolute failure, markers of muscle damage like creatine kinase remain elevated for 48 hours. That completely destroys your performance for your next workout. Training to failure all the time is just a one-way ticket to a plateau.
The absolute key here is making immediate, actionable adjustments. Let's say your program calls for a heavy set of 5 reps at an RPE 8. If you hit an RPE of 9 during your final warm-up, your body is telling you it's fatigued today. You need to drop your planned working weight by about 5%. You're letting your body's readiness dictate the load, not your ego. And that brings us to our final section, Section 5, the power of stepping back and elite recovery. As sleep expert Dr. Matthew Walker perfectly puts it, sleep is the greatest legal performance-enhancing drug that most people are probably neglecting. When you're in deep sleep, your body is releasing the critical growth hormones required to repair torn muscle tissue and rebalance your frayed nervous system. Without sleep, I promise you, your strength program is useless. This whole concept leads us to the absolute magic of the deload week. This is a carefully planned phase where you intentionally cut your workout volume and intensity by up to 50%. It's supposed to feel easy, and that's exactly the point. It refreshes the central nervous system, resolves plateaus, heals underlying inflammation, and physically prevents overtraining. Now, I know exactly what you're thinking. If I take it easy, I'm going to lose all my games. Don't panic. The science clearly shows it actually takes 2 to 4 full weeks of absolute zero exercise before your body begins to lose any actual muscle mass. A 1-week deload is not going to hurt you. Because of this, the smartest lifters out there schedule a proactive deload week every 6 to 8 weeks of intense training. By taking a planned step back every couple of months, you are giving your nervous system the exact reset it needs to bounce back stronger and absolutely smash your old personal records.
Ultimately, true strength mastery is really a test of the ego. The science is incredibly clear here. Endless grinding just leads to a dead end. Are you willing to step back, recover, check your ego at the door, and train smarter to extend your overall health span? Are you brave enough to lift less weight today so you can lift more tomorrow? Think about that before your next session. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.